Shalom Akim, Yahweh Hashem Yahshai Barakatha, giving all praises and all glory unto Yahweh Hashem Yahshai, Hashem Rakakadash, double honors to the elders and apostles of great millstone of all well, and shalom to you Akim, teaching this word around the globe with faith and truth and sincerity. As always, I'd like to start by saying that we are the real Hebrew Israelites. The real Israelites is so-called Negroes, Latinos, Hispanics, Native Americans, West Indians and West Africans predominantly. However, you are going to find Israelites that do look like the other nations, because Israel has been scattered amongst all people throughout our various captivities. But if your seed line by your forefathers goes back to the man in the Bible named Israel, then you too are an Israelite, no matter what you may look like, because the book of Numbers chapter 1 and verse 18 states that your nationality is determined by the lineage of your forefathers. So I'm just making a quick video here, making my way home from camp, and I was traveling in the car with some of the brothers, and I pointed out that the moon tonight is like a super moon. As we can see, I don't know if it's coming up on the camera too well because it's a bit bright. We've got a super moon there, and then another brother pointed out that there was a chariot right near it. And now I'm walking home. I can clearly see the chariot up here. So the chariot is there. It's very bright on the camera, in reality, but I think the street lights kind of muffling it a bit. But there's a chariot and a supermoon. Now Jeremiah the 10th chapter says that we're not to be dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. So we know what these things are, because there's going to be signs in the sun and the moon preceding Yahushai's return. So for those of you who don't know who Yahushai is the one that the world dignity calls Jesus Christ. So we're seeing more and more signs in the sun and in the moon via eclipses and supermoons and blood moons and so on and so forth. And also the chariots are the chariots of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, and that's what the angels travel in. Those are the vehicles that angels travel in. You can read about those in Zechariah the 5th chapter. But here's the thing, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Just because you can identify a chariot, that doesn't necessarily mean that your arse will be on one, or even that my arse will be on one. You know, this is why we hope and we pray, you know, that we are going to be saved and that we're of the elect. Because as Zechariah the whole chapter tells you, this is the curse that goeth forth among the whole earth. The chariot seems to have disappeared now, but never mind, I'm still going to keep talking about it. This is the curse that goeth forth across the whole earth, and the elect are going to be cut off as on one side according to it, and the wicked are going to be cut off on another side according to it. So the elect are going to be saved via these chariots. You know, these are going to be the vehicles of our deliverance. Lord willing, we be of that number. But you can also read about the chariots in Acts the 1st chapter, because that's something that Christians don't really go into too much. If you say, okay, what happened to Yahushai after he rose? Not many Christians will be able to tell you that pertaining to Acts chapter 1 verse 7 on down, tells you that Yahushai was taken up into a great chariot, and the disciples looked up towards heaven gazing, and two men in white apparel stood by them, saying, Ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? The same Yahushai you've seen taken up into heaven shall come again in like manner. And that ties in with the prophecy in Revelation 1 verse 7, which says, Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, even those which pierced him, which proves reincarnation is indeed biblical. So as I said, just because you can identify a chariot, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be on one. Because if you think about it, in the wilderness, when we came out of Egypt, all the Israelites saw the chariot that was overhead. But did all of them believe? Were all of them saved? No. Many of them perished during that wilderness period, and of that generation it was only Joshua and Caleb that made it to the promised land. You know, so the moon's going behind some clouds now. But that's my point, because just because you can identify a chariot, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're on the right side of it. That's why you need to hope. That's why you need to pray. That's why you need to fast. That's why you need to be diligent. You need to do all kinds of things to make your calling and election sure. And none of us are sure, which is why we do the work and why we have faith. So with that, the moon's gone behind so it's like the chariots disappeared. But that was the point of the lesson. So I hope that's been a little quick edifying hit, giving all praises and glory unto Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, Hashem Rakakadash, double honors to the elders and apostles, great millstone of all well. And a sincere shalom to you Akim that are doing this work with faith and truth and sincerity. And until the next lesson, Lord willing, I say shalom, wa abba wa kam shalom for now.